The Gallup Index of Investor Optimism for June, unfortunately, has become more negative. Last month in May, you may recall, we saw a real uptick in investor optimism. This is based on attitudes of Americans who have $10,000 or more in investable assets. We interview them every month and ask them about the market and the investment climate and so forth. This month, it has dropped from that -1 last month, which I mentioned to you. That was a recent high point, down to -21, so it's become more negative. It's not as negative as it was earlier this year. You see the trend, it was below 60, a -60 at one point earlier this year, but nevertheless, the optimism we were seeing last month, unfortunately, as I said before, appears to have dissipated. A couple of other measures we track on investors, the personal index, how about your optimism about your own investment portfolio? That has dropped by a few points, not a lot, but more negative than it was in May. And the other component of investor optimism is what we call the economic index, reflecting economic outlook. That too had become a little more positive in May, but again, that's dropped somewhat more negative this month. Bottom line, putting it all together, the uptick in investor optimism that we had seen in May was not continued in the month of June. Investors in June became somewhat more negative about the investment climate in the U.S. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Editor-in-Chief of the Gallup.